Okay, I'm so very sorry, I'm a minute late. Okay, all right, let's start our meeting. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. We know you didn't have nothing else to do. For that, please.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
All in favor? Aye. Any public comments tonight? Correspondence to the board. Okay, we have from the First United Methodist Church in Sedalia, our congregation is praying for Knob-Noster schools this week as our school of the week. We appreciate all you do for our students and families in your district, and we're grateful for your impact in this community. God bless you. And we have a letter from the Department of the Air Force to from the JROTC. It says, "Dear Dr. Wheeler, I would like to extend my gratitude to your AF JROTC candidates that volunteered in supporting 2018. The events were an overwhelming success, and every aspect of the day was lauded by our visiting retirees. Not only were they able to gain a better understanding of our heritage and mission, but got to the first-hand knowledge of what Team Whiteman and volunteers are doing. The candidates listed below made the day for many of the retirees. Their assistance to the retirees was greatly appreciated. Please pass on to Colonel retired Mark S. Talley and Senior Master Sergeant retired Randy Johnson and their AF JROTC candidates my sincere appreciation for their volunteer support. And on another note for these guys, collecting the things for the Christmas store down in Knob-Noster, they collected the most out of everybody in all the schools and everything else, and that allowed us to be able to give $10 gas cards as well to these people. Outside of just all the other things that we gave them, we were able to give them a $10 gas card, and that was thanks to everything that they have accomplished and collected. So just another note to pass on for that. Okay, we have the fiscal year 18 audit presentation. This is for discussion and information only. And I remember you from last year.
He's getting taller.
Yes.
So we have Brian Eckhoff from Westbrook Associates who will go over our audit presentation. So I'll pull that up and you should be ready to go, sir. Thank you for doing this.
While he's doing that, again, I'm Brian Eckhoff. I'm one of the partners with Westbrook & Company. We are going to do a brief overview of the financial statements and the audit. If you have questions as we're going, don't hesitate to stop me. We can discuss them as we're going, but we will do a brief overview. So whenever you start with your audit, if you turn to page 2, that's the page that gives our auditor's opinion. Basically, what you want to see is presented fairly. This is considered a clean audit opinion or a good audit report. So this is exactly what you want to see on your audit. The next several pages are the management discussion and analysis. It's where you'll see comparative information, things like that, where Dr. Wheeler gets to talk about the financials. But we'll skip over it and go directly to the financials. The statement of activities is the first financial statement I want to highlight. It's found on page 11. It's kind of different than your standard financial statement because your expenditures are down the left-hand side, offset by your revenues through the middle of the page to show you a net cost of that function. The two that normally school districts like to see or mention are food service and community services. This year, food service, if you look at the far right-hand column, food service actually costs the district about $129,000. And then community services, which is your before and after school care, adult ed classes, things like that, preschool, actually had a cost of $52,000. The next page is the balance sheet. This year, the district has a total governmental fund assets of $11.3 million. That's split between your general fund and your capital projects fund, approximately 50-50 basically. Down at the bottom of the page, you see the fund balances, which farther back in your financial statements, I don't expect you to flip to that page, so I'll just show you. On page 22 is the footnote that shows you the fund balances. You'll see in the general fund, we have restricted funds of about $25,000, 20,000 of that being scholarships, the other 5,000 being professional development. This is the requirement by the state that you are required to spend a certain dollar amount on professional development. So this is the amount that we didn't get spent last year that we have to carry over to next year. And then in the general fund, we also have assigned student activities. These are your clubs, organizations, sporting teams, things like that. They have about $113,000, and then the remaining balance in your general fund is unassigned because it can be used for everyday expenditures. Your capital projects fund obviously are used for capital outlay in the future, so it is assigned for capital outlay. Page 13 shows the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. This year, the change in fund balance was an increase of $1.3 million, which actually occurred in the capital projects fund. You can see that it increased about $1.5 million, while your general fund actually decreased $256,000. So beginning fund balance was about $10 million, and we've gone up to 11.3. Page 19 shows your current debt. We have the 2013 lease participation certificates. We paid off $215,000 this year. We still have a little over $4 million left on those certificates. And those are the annual payments, assuming non-refunding. If we make all the annual payments, we will finally pay that off in 2033. No balloon payments or anything to note there, just your standard annual payments. Page 29 shows your revenues for the last 5 years. At first glance, it appears your revenues significantly spiked in 18 because they went up to 18.1 million. And you can note that it's in the federal column where it actually increased. This was actually a timing issue with the impact aid revenue. Your fiscal year 17 impact aid revenue actually didn't come in until 2018. So really that revenue should have been back in 17, but because your cash basis, it's in 18. So the same thing happened again this year with your impact aid revenue, so we'll have the exact same situation next year. So really, 17 should have been a little bit higher because of the impact aid. But overall revenues this year were 18.1 million. The next page shows the exact same information for the expenditures. You'll see this year expenditures were 16.8 million. Last year they were 16.6. And you can see that approximately 80% of our expenditures are from salaries and employee benefits, which is consistent with a lot of the districts we do. Your number one expenditure is your salaries and benefits. The next page, page 31, shows your reserve ratio and your average daily attendance for the last 5 years. This year, reserve ratio was 34.93. We would consider this a healthy, financially stable school district. And your average daily attendance is 1,515.86. And we've had basically a steady increase in that over the last 5 years. While we're here, we look at state statutes, see if there's anything that we need to change or if there are any violations in state statutes. And we report that on page 36, and you'll see that it says they are fairly stated in all material respects. And on page 37, it says none for state findings. So we didn't have any state findings this year during the audit. Also, during the audit, we look at internal control. We do not give an opinion on internal control, but we use it to do our risk assessment and determine different risk areas in the audit. You can see that we had 2018-001 as a internal control finding and question cost. It's on a report later on. We'll actually talk about it later. Just know that we had one finding comment on the internal control. You are also required to have a federal audit under uniform guidance. Means that your federal expenditures exceeded $750,000. During our audit, we actually give an opinion on this, and if we found anything, we would bring it to your attention in this report. And you can see down at the bottom, we did not identify any deficiencies from federal programs. And that information is actually highlighted on page 42. The first yes is that internal control comment, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And then the rest of your comments are all no. So you want everything to be no's all the way down, basically. So that's basically what you see except for the internal control. And then you can see down about 3/4 down the page, the major program that we audited this year was your impact aid, because it is so significant dollar-wise. It's the one we tested this year. And then the bottom one where it says auditee qualified as a low-risk auditee, no. This does not theoretically mean you are a high-risk auditee. The reason you do not qualify as a low-risk auditee is because you are cash basis financial statements. 99% of the school districts in the state of Missouri are cash basis financial statements. But the way the uniform guidance is written, you cannot be cash basis financial statements and qualify as a low-risk auditee. So they have not made an exception for school districts in this. So basically what it means is it requires us to do more audit work during the single audit. So don't take that the wrong way and think that that means you guys are high risk. So the one finding on internal controls, if you remember last year, this is the same comment from last year. Basically, segregation of duties, Katie has access to all steps of the accounting process. So we bring it to your attention here. We have mitigating controls in place to monitor it, but she still has the ability to do the entire process. So that's why we have to bring it to your attention here. Any questions on the audits? Also attached was a report to administration with a couple of minor recommendations, and then also the required communications. That's where if we had any issues with Dr. Wheeler or Katie or anybody while we were here, it would be in there. If we didn't have any issues, it's always a pleasure coming here. Attached to that is the journal entries we made. I think we made 3 journal entries this year. Kind of unusual for Katie. Katie does a great job. I'm sad to see her retire. But the one on there, we did make an entry to allocate some additional transportation costs to overhead, which is allowable by DESE, which would end up saving the district between $2,000 and $2,500 this year. So just know we are looking at costs and things like that on ways to try and save the district money while we're doing the audits. Questions, comments, concerns? I know that was a quick overview, but I know nobody likes to sit through an audit presentation.
Well, we had it enough. Any questions or concerns on this? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Recognitions.
So we have 2 amazing groups tonight to be able to recognize. And our first is our partners in education that we want to recognize. And we have an outstanding group coming to us tonight from Whiteman Air Force Base. As our partners in education, we'd like to recognize the Whiteman Spouses Club. And the Whiteman Spouses Club, they give support to the families in our community and our students through multiple different ways. And they're a nonprofit that raises money for community programs, both on and off Whiteman Air Force Base. Members volunteer at their own thrift store, their own base, and they do multiple things where they allow people to come in and donate items or sell items for profit at reasonable prices. This group also awarded a grant to Whiteman Elementary last year for their library that was utilized there at our base school. And they have basically given their scholarship programs that have also directly benefited our graduating senior class and our graduating seniors at Mount Oscar High School. They also organize a holiday cookie drive, which I understand you are in the midst of right now. So there are many, many cookies that go out there. I think they provide for about 500 different airmen with those cookies. And they take those directly to the dorms, deliver them to the airmen, and just live their holiday experience. Some of them are not able to go home. So this truly is a great partner in our education system, and we would like to thank you for all that you do. We have 3 members of the Whiteman Spouses Club tonight. So if we could give a big round of applause for John Escoby, Jessica Figg, and one of our very own administrators, Jessica Stewart. If you guys could all come out and
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I didn't.
Yes, you.
Are you gonna go for a ride?
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
You wanna go for a ride? Watch you hang on. Oh, okay.
So our second group that we'd like to recognize tonight are our Phenomenal Panthers. And our Phenomenal Panthers for the month of December are our group of our Mount Nostra High School band students who recently earned spots to perform in our all-district band. There are 5 students who were selected through this audition process. 2 of them are here tonight. The first one here tonight is Katie Binder, and Katie earned 3rd chair alto saxophone. She also was able to get all-district honorable mention band. Dakota Robinson won 7th chair trumpet and all-district honorable mention band. Ethan Corder was 1st alternate oboe and all-district honorable mention band. Colby Zink, who is here tonight, was 1st chair baritone saxophone, all-district honorable mention band, and all-district jazz band. And our last individual was Braden Orndorff. He was able to get 4th chair trumpet and all-district jazz band. So 2 of our students that are on this list also were eligible to try out for the All-State Band on December 1st, and they were Braden and Colby as well. So Braden Orndorff and Colby Zink. The all-district the all-district band will perform on the campus of UCM in Hendricks Hall on January 5th, and the all-district jazz band will perform in Sedalia at the middle school on January 12th. Both of those concerts are free, and I'm sure they would love to see you in the stands to just cheer them on and just recognize their accomplishments for what they have done. So congratulations, and I know Colby and Ms. Binder, you are here tonight. Congratulations. We are truly honored and proud to have you serve Mount Nostra High School in our all-district band. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Those saxophones. Good job.
Okay, all right.
Congratulations, Katie. Thank you. Congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
What you got right here? Step forward, just like that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So along with those two recognitions, we also have a little recap from an event earlier this week for the retirement of Mrs. Huntsman, and just a little slideshow that the team put together of that. Not on your agenda? We pulled a quick one. So just wanted to share this and let you know how much we appreciate you, and hopefully you enjoyed this event. I thought it was very nice and a great turnout to show all the people that love and care for you here in the community.
front and center on it. Oh, Lordy. No, up front. Oh, good.
Sorry about that.
No.
Miss you too.
With every rock I hold.
Yeah, I would never do that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping you'll be like the lucky penny that keeps showing up.
I will.
And then I also was going to say it was obviously so nice to see you there with all of your family, and want you to know that we consider, lucky that I get to sit here and talk about you being part of the Knoblauch family, but just know that we're your family too, and that you know what that means to you, and hopefully you know what you mean to us. So thank you for everything.
Enjoy those grandkids.
I will.
All right, principal and directors reports. If you have any questions on those are for information only. If you have any questions. MSBA report.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of December. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the State Board of Education's decision to rehire Dr. Margie Van Dieven as Missouri's Commissioner of Education. It was about a year ago that Dr. Van Dieven was removed as Commissioner of Education by members of the State Board of Education appointed by former Governor Eric Greitens. Following the removal of Van Dieven, Dr. Roger Dorson was appointed interim commissioner and has served in that capacity for the past year. The move by Greitens to orchestrate the removal of a commissioner of education was unprecedented and called into question the political independence of the State Board of Education. The move outraged many legislators. The Greitens appointees were never confirmed by the state Senate and could not continue to serve. Because of the lack of a quorum, the state board was not able to function for several months until Governor Mike Parson made new appointments to the board following the resignation of Eric Greitens as governor. The reconstituted State Board of Education reopened the process for hiring a permanent commissioner, and following interviews with 4 finalists for the position last month, rehired Dr. Van Dieven as commissioner. During a recent telephone conference call, State Board President Charlie Shields talked about what the board was looking for in a new permanent commissioner.
I think what the board looked at was the ability to continue to make progress and move our state forward in terms of education. We knew very well that in our time with Commissioner Van Dieven, 4 of us were around when we selected her the previous time. We knew that what she could do and how you bring the education community together, work with the governor's office, work with the legislature to advance education in the state. And then we were confident that that same kind of work would continue into the future. There are a lot of challenges that we face in education in our state, and the ability to have somebody who already has experience in the role and hit the ground running, I think was important, and that's one of the reasons we selected Commissioner Van Dieven.
Van Dieven explained during the conference call why she's looking forward to returning as commissioner.
There's still work to be done. And while I'm very happy in my current position, I am drawn to public service, particularly public service that has the potential to impact almost 1 million students' lives. It's an honor and a privilege with a responsibility that I do not take lightly.
And Eva begins her duties as Missouri's Commissioner of Education on January 2nd. The 2019 session of the Missouri General Assembly convenes next month. There will be some new faces in the legislature following the November elections, but the overall makeup of the General Assembly remains largely unchanged, with Republicans maintaining significant majorities in both the House and the Senate. It will be the first session with Governor Mike Parson in that office. MSBA's Associate Executive Director for Advocacy, Mike Reed, says state funding for public schools will once again be a major issue.
I look for funding for the formula to be, they will go make a shot at making sure it gets fully funded. Transportation is a whole other story. We are desperately low on transportation funding, and I don't see that coming forward this year. We will work very hard to get more money into transportation. However, it's going to be a long, hard pull because there are so many other people trying to get at that pot of money.
Another issue likely to return in the 2019 legislative session is expansion of charter schools. Right now, charter schools exist only in St. Louis and Kansas City. However, bills are likely to be introduced in the coming legislative session to expand charters to other school districts in the state. Kansas City Superintendent Dr. Mark Bedell says the growth of charter schools in that district has resulted in inefficiencies and unnecessary duplication of services for students. He says school districts throughout the state need to be concerned that the expansion of charter schools could put additional strain on funding available for schools.
It goes back to the financial resources that we already are thin on. We know right now that we have a $200 million or somewhere in that range deficit with transportation, and we think as tax rolls come in this year with all the tax cuts and all of those good things, that the state's going to find itself in some tough scenarios, being able to continuously fully fund education. And so when you then introduce more options and opportunity, it results ultimately in you having to operate full facilities, full-time administrators, full-time staff, the resources and all of that. And once again, that then spreads the money thinner.
MSBA supports only those charter schools that are authorized by local boards of education and subject to the same accountability standards as other Missouri public schools. Be sure to make plans now to attend MSBA's annual legislative forum, Public Schools Day at the Capitol, on February 11th in Jefferson City. Registration information is available on the MSBA website. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
All right, next up is superintendent report.
Good evening, everyone. Regarding the legislative session on February 11th in the Capitol, we have been extended an invite for members of our robotics program to go over and do one of the demonstrations there in the Capitol for that day. So if anybody would like to attend, we will have a group from Knob Nostrand. Even if you want, you can ride over there in one of our brand new school buses, all polished up and ready to go. So we look forward to highlighting and telling our story in the Capitol on February 11th, and we're especially excited that it's not on Valentine's Day this year. So let us know if you'd like to go. December has been another excuse me, fantastic month to be a Knob Nostrand Panther. With the exception of the flu and colds and coughs that have been going around, it's been a great month. We began the month with a trip to the mandated DODEA post-grant award meeting to finalize our grant process. I want to say thank you to Dr. Olofson, Mr. Coron, and our external evaluator, Tim Crawley, for taking time to go down complete that meeting. Last week, we enjoyed celebrating our grand announcement with our partners at Whiteman Air Force Base, and we look forward to the wonderful programs that this will add to our school district. As of this meeting, we have 1.5 instructional days left until Christmas break. Teachers have worked hard to round out the calendar year with some focused instructional time, and we feel good headed into the Christmas break. Glad that we had a mild December here following a pretty dicey November. I do want to wish the high school students good luck on their finals. I know they'll be pushing through those in the next couple of days, and I know at the elementary level we will be having some continued fun to celebrate the season. Board candidate filings are currently underway. As of today, we have one candidate on the ballot, Mr. Hughes, who we appreciate you signing up, sir, and for your current service. We will keep the board updated as we get additional candidates to file, sit on this fantastic board that we have. With our audit finally now finalized, I'm pleased to report that there were no findings and we received another clean audit this year. Also, all 10 of our new school buses are now integrated into the fleet, and we have received some very positive feedback on their performance. Lastly, as we head into the Christmas holiday, I would just like to say thank you to the Board of Education for the ongoing opportunity to serve here at Valdosta Schools. And from my family to each of yours, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a safe, happy, and prosperous New Year. Attendance and enrollment for the month. Valdosta Elementary 364 with a 95.16 attendance. Valdosta Middle School 475 with 95.42% attendance. Valdosta High School 395 with 95.42. Whiteman Elementary 374 with 94.98. And the district total was 1608. First time we've been over 1,600 students in quite some time. I think we looked back maybe 15 years, so we're excited about that. With an overall attendance of 95.25. And the winner looks like a tie between Valdosta Middle School and Valdosta High School for highest attendance. So congratulations.
We're going to let you have a couple of days off.
That's true.
Couple days off after Friday.
That's so generous.
After
Tell
Friday,
you what,
a couple days
just
off.
take the next week off.
What we do.
Balances all funds. Fund balance is $14,204,657, and I believe that's the highest we've been. We were talking about that, highest it's been in maybe ever, so we're excited about that. Revenues to date, $9,254,898, which is 45.8% of anticipated. Expenditures are $6,388,963, which is 34.8% of budgeted. And then again on the back, I just kind of have a few of the activities out of district in review, and then a preview of what's coming up in the month ahead. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Wheeler. All right, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve approval of bills for the board.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve fiscal year 2018 audit as was presented.
Make a motion to approve the 2018 audit.
All in favor? Aye. House Bill 1413 and labor organization. This is for informational purposes only.
So as mentioned when I sent the agenda out to the board, this is a topic that's that I would ask for your specific attention to. Last year, Missouri House Bill 1413 was passed during the legislative session and took effect on August 28, 2018. This bill significantly altered the manner in which public school employees may be recognized as a labor organization. Under House Bill 1413 and Missouri Statute 105.575, voluntary recognition of a labor organization by a school district is also no longer allowed. So, kind of to paraphrase, there are a lot of additional hoops that teachers must go through to be recognized as a labor organization. And even if the district didn't wanted to recognize a labor organization, we can't do that unless they go through that process and be approved at the state level. So we're operating in new territory here in terms of what we've seen for the last 4 years with collective bargaining. I believe it's 4 years. Currently, the Knob-Elster Association of Teachers has not completed that process to be recognized as a labor organization under this law, which is currently in effect. Further, the district, as said, cannot recognize that labor organization without risk of violating this law. As a result, this year, the district will not engage in the collective bargaining process. The district will continue, as it has in the past 4 years, to prepare and disseminate a survey to employees regarding a variety of data points that are of interest to the district as it plans for the upcoming year. Something that we have talked about with teacher leadership is possibly a development of a joint survey to make sure that we jointly look for and prepare and gain that information that we feel like will inform our decisions. As has been done in the last 4 years, this survey will include items related to compensation. New this year, district administration will select representatives from a cross-section of employee segments to conduct 1 or more listening sessions, at which time employees may express opinions on various matters. This will not resemble the collective bargaining process or the meet and confer process, which is restricted by this new law. District administration has already held an initial meeting with NAT leadership to discuss the ramifications of House Bill 1413 and the administration's genuine desire to find the best way forward, which will ensure an amicable process on hearing perspectives on a variety of important issues. We look forward to a cooperative effort this year from all parties involved. And I will say that first meeting went very well. Mr. Basinger is back, and I think we're going to be able to find our way forward. So thank you for being here for that. A copy of House Bill 1413 is provided for reference along with a link to the Missouri Department of Labor where they provide additional information on this new law. Again, this is submitted for information only.
Thank you. Next up is teacher salary comparisons. This is for discussion and information only.
2 years ago, the Board of Education endorsed the use of a 16-district cohort of school districts for comparison and established our goal to provide at minimum salaries which are at the average wage of this cohort. As that data indicates, we have maintained that goal in almost all areas. The data also illustrates where we have not yet met that goal. So you guys have seen this before for the last several years. We have our 16-district cohort. We have a number of data points across our salary schedule, and then we do some averages at the bottom to show what's the average of these cohorts and how do we compare. New this year is the bottom line down here. This is looking back at 16, 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19, where we ranked on all of those data points. And you can kind of see we've gained ground in some areas. We've lost some ground in some areas, but there's some regression towards the mean where we're over the mean, and then progressions toward the mean where we're underneath that. So we're working towards that target. We know that we took that big step last year on that specialist base. That moved us from 11th to 9th. We're still with what other adjustments have occurred in the other cohort members, that we still have some work to do there. We really know that this year we need to pick back up, most likely here on the base salary on bachelor columns. But you can see that we're still holding strong down here on the lower side of the bachelor columns. So that's something that we're going to try to navigate through. If you look over on to the right of the master's degree, you can see that we actually lost a little bit of ground there on the master's base. But again, as you look down towards the max, we're doing okay in that area. Again, on the specialist, we did move to that average, but there was also some other movement, so we're still a little low there where we're shooting for that average. And then when you look on the max on the bottom, we're doing good on the bottom right hand side of our schedule. So again, that's provided just for information, but this is something that, we feel like has given us a very good platform to move forward and to try to provide those competitive teacher salaries across the schedule. I want to also point out too, when you look at these numbers at the bottom here, this beginning pay moving from 5th to 8th, that's on total pay. But remember that on the teacher's side, we also do the daily rate comparison, and we move from 3rd to 4th. So it's a little misleading on the total pay. If you look at daily rate, we're still highly competitive across those bachelor columns.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Wheeler. Next up is administrators' salary comparison, discussion and information only.
That makes sense to anybody? Same process taken here. We have the 16 district cohort. We do a spot check on the salaries for each of our administrative positions, and then we average those and look at our difference to the average. Now, the board has taken some very healthy steps in the last several years to improve our compensation for our administrators, and frankly, I think that's has been very helpful in helping us retain very high quality administrators. You can see that there's a whole lot more red across the bottom where we're not hitting that average of that cohort. There are some variables in here with years of experience, degrees, years in the district. There are lots of different variables. This just looks at what's the current market. And you can take by position, for instance, Director of Student Services. What would that position pay on the left or right of us at Warrensburg or Sedalia, for instance, if they were to have a vacancy? Same thing goes for our elementary principals. I thought we're pretty aggressive in the last couple of years in getting those salaries improved. But you can see that based on this cohort number this year, there's continuing to be upward pressure on those positions. So we'll look at that and see what that means for the board. But that's the data as we have for this year. I will point out, I don't think you guys can see the color scanned on there. I know that I want to say Warsaw, Clinton, Sedalia, and was it Petersville? And Pleasant Hill. Those numbers are all the numbers from actually last year. We were not able to access their numbers for this year. So there is going to be a couple of % increase on those as compared to those numbers, but it's not probably significant enough to skew what we're looking at here. So again, this is presented for first read only and feedback from the board.
Any questions? Thank you. We have no old business, and it is all of you. Yes.
All right, make a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to RS 610.021, 3 and 13 by roll call. One second. Aye.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
And 7 o'clock back there.